All right, let's dive in. Today, we're tackling a massive question, one that thinkers have wrestled with for, about 2,500 years. What's the point of philosophy? We're going to go on a journey through some of the biggest, most mind blowing ideas about the very purpose of our lives.
And really, it all boils down to this, doesn't it? What is the point of it all? This isn't just some dusty old academic question. No, it's probably the most personal question any of us can ever ask. So, what did the greatest minds in history come up with? Let's find out.
Okay, so where do we even begin a quest this huge? Well, we start where we have to, with ourselves. The ancient Greeks, they were smart. They figured before you can even hope to understand the world out there, you gotta first understand the person looking out at it, you. And our first guide on this epic quest is none other than Socrates. For this guy, life wasn't about getting rich or famous. Nope. It was all about self-knowledge. He had this wild idea that real wisdom, it starts when you admit you don't know anything. So the goal for him isn't some final perfect answer. It's about living a life of constant questioning. Think about that. For Socrates, the journey, the process, that's the whole point.
But is looking inward really enough? Socrates' best student, Plato, he was on board with the whole quest for knowledge thing. But he thought, hey, maybe the biggest truths aren't just rattling around inside our own heads. He argued that we have to look outward, beyond what we can immediately see and touch, beyond the mere shadows of our own perception.
And Plato came up with this incredible story to explain it, his famous allegory of the cave. Picture this. We're all like prisoners, chained up, and all we can see are shadows flickering on a cave wall. We think that's reality. For Plato, the entire goal of philosophy is to break those chains, to crawl out of that dark cave, and to finally see the world in the bright sunlight, to see it as it truly is. The goal is to get a glimpse of the perfect, ultimate ideas, the forms, of things like justice and beauty and goodness. That's where real truth is. So the Greeks really set the stage, right? But after them, the quest for truth started to change. For hundreds of years, the main goal wasn't just truth, but certainty. Philosophers were hunting for something absolutely, positively unshakable, especially when it came to God and our place in the universe. And on this quest, you get these two absolute giants who took completely opposite roads to get to the same place. On one hand, you have Thomas Aquinas. He started with the world around him, what we'd call an a posteriori argument. He looked at things like motion and cause and effect and the intricate design of nature and said, look, it all has to point back to God. Then, centuries later, you get René Descartes, who did the total opposite. He started with radical doubt. He threw out everything he thought he knew until he landed on the one thing he couldn't possibly doubt, the fact that he was doubting. From that one tiny, certain point, I think, therefore I am, he built his entire worldview back up, and you know what? It also led him straight to God. Okay, now let's jump forward to the modern era, because this is where that foundation of divine certainty really starts to crack. And when that happens, the goal of philosophy has to pivot, big time. Suddenly the question isn't how do we find meaning, it's if meaning isn't just given to us from on high, how in the world do we create it for ourselves?
And this is where Immanuel Kant comes in with a totally revolutionary answer. He says the goal is to live an ethical life, sure, but not because a God tells you to, and not because you're worried about the consequences. No, for Kant, it's all based on pure, cold, hard reason. The goal is to follow rules that you could honestly want everyone to follow all the time, no exceptions.
So how does this actually work? Let's take his test for a spin. Say you're thinking about lying to get something you want. Okay, step one, what's the rule or maxim you're following? It's something like, it's okay to lie when it benefits me. Now, step two, imagine a world where everybody lives by that rule. What happens? Well, words become meaningless, right? Trust completely disappears. The whole system of communication just collapses. It's not a functional world. So lying fails the test. For Kant, the goal is to live by these universal, logical rules that could work for everybody.
But what if we push it even further? What if there aren't any universal rules? What if the universe is just silent, cold, absurd? Well, now you're in existentialist territory. And for them, the goal of life isn't to find some hidden meaning. It's to stare right into that meaninglessness and not blink. And Albert Camus just nails this idea. He uses the myth of Sisyphus, the guy cursed by the gods to push a boulder up a hill forever, just to watch it roll back down every single time. It's the definition of a pointless, absurd task. But here's the twist. Camus says the real goal is to find your freedom by rebelling against that absurdity. The second Sisyphus looks at that rock, accepts his fate, and decides to find his own purpose in the struggle itself. The moment he says, "I will it thus," in that moment, he's totally free. Another great existentialist thinker, Karl Jaspers, had a slightly different take. For him, the goal wasn't so much about defiance, it was about constant becoming. To exist is to transcend. What does that mean? It means the purpose of your life is to always be growing, always pushing past your current limits, and never ever letting yourself become a static, finished product. And that brings us to the final turn in our journey. So, we've looked inward at the self, we've looked upward for certainty, and we've looked forward to create our own meaning. But then, philosophy starts to have this huge realization. What if the goal isn't something you find all by yourself, in isolation? What if the whole point is found in the space between us? This is where a philosopher named Paul Ricoeur comes in. He said the goal is to become a capable human being. And look at what he means by that. It's not just about being good at stuff. These are deeply social things. The capacity to speak, well, you need someone to speak to. The capacity to promise, to forgive. These things are meaningless without other people. So for Ricoeur, the goal isn't just to work on yourself, it's to become someone who can fully and meaningfully connect with others. Paulo Freire took this social idea and applied it to education. He argued that the goal of learning isn't just to fill your head with facts for your own benefit. He called it praxis. And it's basically this powerful cycle. You learn about the world, you take action to make it better, and then you reflect on what happened. The point is, knowledge isn't a spectator sport. The goal isn't just to understand the world, but to get in there and help transform it. Then there's Emmanuel Levinas, who boiled our entire purpose down to a single, powerful moment, the face-to-face encounter. His idea was that when you truly look another person in the face, you see their vulnerability, and that vulnerability makes a demand on you. It's a silent call for care and responsibility. For Levinas, the ultimate goal of philosophy isn't some abstract, complicated theory. It's this very real, very immediate duty we have to the person standing right in front of us. Jürgen Habermas zoomed out and applied this idea to all of society. He said our collective goals should be what he called communicative action. And that's a fancy way of saying that the point of talking to each other isn't to win the argument or to dominate the conversation. The real goal is to reach a genuine mutual understanding. The ultimate purpose is to create a society that moves forward not because the loudest or most powerful person wins, but because we've all actually truly listened to each other. So think about this incredible journey we've been on, from knowing yourself to seeking absolute truth, from creating your own meaning to finally finding it in others. This 2,500-year quest, it almost feels like it culminates in a very simple, profound idea from a modern voice. Pope Francis suggests the ultimate goal is just mercy and compassion. It's like the powerful conclusion to this whole epic story. We find our purpose when we care for each other. So after all that, after this whirlwind tour through the history of thought, the question lands right back where it began, with you. You've seen all these different goals, self-examination, creating your own meaning, connecting with other people. Which one of those paths speaks to you? Because the great quest of philosophy, it never really ends. And now, it's your turn.